In every small town, there are people who feel like the heartbeat of the community. In Willow Creek, Minnesota, that person was Emily Carter, a beloved 32-year-old teacher who poured her life into her students. When Emily suddenly vanished one cool autumn evening, the town's sense of safety was shattered. At first, police suspected a random act of violence. But as they dug deeper, they discovered Emily's life wasn't as perfect as it seemed, and the truth about her disappearance would point to someone no one expected. Emily Carter was the kind of teacher who left a mark. At Willow Creek Elementary, she decorated her classroom with hand-painted murals of forests and fairy tales. Parents adored her. Children adored her even more. She was active in her church choir, volunteered at the food bank, and was the type of neighbor who remembered birthdays with home-baked cookies. Her life looked, on the surface, like something out of a Hallmark movie. She had recently purchased a cozy cottage-style home near the town's main street and had been talking about wanting to adopt a dog. So, when Emily didn't show up for school on Monday, September 17, 2018, alarms went off immediately. She wasn't the type to call in sick without notice. She wasn't the type to not answer her phone. By noon that day, the principal called police. Officers arrived at Emily's home that afternoon. Her car was still in the driveway. Her purse sat on the kitchen counter. Her phone was charging by her bed. And yet, no Emily. The last confirmed sighting of her came from a neighbor who saw her unloading groceries around 6:30 p.m. the night before. After that, she vanished. Police found no signs of forced entry, no broken windows, no overturned furniture. It was as if Emily had simply walked out into the night and never returned. The community was in shock. Posters went up. Vigils were held. Candlelight filled the steps of the school. But investigators, behind the scenes, were finding unsettling inconsistencies. At first, detectives leaned toward the idea of a random abduction. A woman alone, a small town with stretches of dark back roads. It wasn't impossible, but random abductions are rare, and as days turned into weeks, no ransom calls, no leads, and no evidence surfaced. They began to look closer at Emily's personal life. Emily had quietly ended a relationship just a few months earlier with a man named Mark Ellison. Mark was a mechanic in town, charming on the surface but known to have a temper. Friends revealed that the breakup hadn't been clean. Mark wanted Emily back badly. He'd been spotted parked near her school more than once. Still, when questioned, Mark insisted he had nothing to do with her disappearance. His alibi checked out. He was at his brother's garage the night Emily vanished. Investigators moved on. Then came a shock. Emily, the church-going schoolteacher, had been living a double life online. Investigators uncovered late-night conversations with strangers on private chat apps. She joined groups under pseudonyms, where she talked about feeling trapped in her small town, about wanting something more. Her friends and family were floored. It didn't fit the Emily they knew, but it widened the pool of suspects dramatically. Could someone she met online have lured her away? The case dragged for nearly 6 months. Leads fizzled. The community grew restless, torn between grief and suspicion. Then, in March 2019, a local farmer made a chilling discovery. A tattered scarf and fragments of clothing buried in a shallow ditch along a back road 5 miles outside town. DNA confirmed what everyone feared. The items belonged to Emily Carter. The discovery reignited the investigation. Police brought in cadaver dogs, drones, and forensic experts. While no body was recovered, traces of Emily's blood were found on the roadside gravel, enough to prove foul play. And that's when detectives began re-examining people close to Emily. The break came when investigators reviewed traffic camera footage from the night Emily disappeared. One grainy video, captured at 7:12 p.m., showed a silver pickup truck driving past an intersection near her home. The vehicle matched one owned by none other than Principal David Hale, Emily's boss. The revelation was explosive. Hale was respected, middle-aged, married with 2 kids. On the surface, he had nothing to gain from harming Emily. But confronted with evidence, cracks appeared in his story. Detectives learned that Emily and Principal Hale had been having an affair. She had ended it weeks before her disappearance. telling him she couldn't live with the secrecy. He, however, was terrified of the fallout if his wife, or the community, discovered the truth. Cell tower records placed Hale's phone near the same back road where Emily's belongings were found. When faced with the evidence, David Hale eventually confessed. On the night of September 16th, he had gone to Emily's house, desperate to talk her out of ending things for good. Their argument spilled outside. Hale said Emily threatened to tell his wife. In a blind rage, he grabbed her, pushed her, and when she fell against the driveway's edge and stopped moving, he panicked. Convinced his life was over, he placed her in his truck, drove to the back road, and hastily tried to hide the evidence. Emily's body, however, has never been found. Hale claimed he left her near the ditch, but searches suggest he may have moved her again later. When the news broke, Willow Creek was devastated. The beloved teacher, the small-town principal. It was a betrayal that cut deeper than anyone could have imagined. Parents who had once trusted David Hale with their children now looked at him as a monster. Hale was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 40 years in prison. Yet even with a conviction, the community has struggled. Without Emily's body, without a place to grieve, the loss feels unfinished. At her memorial service, one of her students read a note Emily had once written on the classroom board: "Be kind, be curious, and never stop learning." Those words live on, even as the truth behind her disappearance casts a long shadow over Willow Creek. Emily Carter's story was more than a tragedy. It was a reminder that even in the brightest places, some truths stay hidden in the shadows.